Okay? So now we're ready for part 4. So those questions could be on the quiz tomorrow, except not the graph part, but all the amplitude and all that part good. Now part 4 is definitely on the quiz tomorrow. It was on the practice quiz about 3 or 4 times. So what's going on here? The sine of 2 pi over 3. You should be so good at these now. Sine 2 pi over 3. Change it to degrees, so that would be 120. Right? And where's 120? Over here. This is the important angle right here. How big is it? 60. More. So how are these sides labeled? 3, 1, 2. Anything negative? The 1. I want the sine. What's the sine? Opposite over hypotenuse, root 3 over 2. We cannot miss those problems. Tangent 0. 0. 0 is right here, isn't it? Isn't this angle 0?
Yeah.
It's also 360 and other things, but it's 0. It's on an axis. So I'm just going to label this point 1, 0 because I'm going to let my radius be 1. Tangent is y over x. So 0 over 1, the tangent of 0 is 0. Cosine 5 pi over 6. What is that? It's 150. So I'll draw 150. And I'll figure out this angle right here. 30. So I can label my sides and then stop myself and say, okay, is anything negative? Root 3. Cosine. Adjacent over hypotenuse, negative root 3 over 2. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Secant 2 pi. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to use this picture right here that I already have drawn. How come I can use this picture right here that I already have drawn for the secant of 2 pi? 2 pi is 360, and isn't 360 right here? Once around? What's secant?
That'd be the reciprocal cosine.
Okay, cosine is x over r. So secant would be r over x.
That'd be 1.
So r over x would be 1 over 1 or 1. So the secant is 1. Cotan pi over 4. What's pi over 4? That's 45. So I want the cotangent of 45. So 45 is in quadrant 1. Don't have to worry about any negatives. It's just a 45-degree angle in quadrant 1. And I want the cotangent. What's the cotangent?
Adjacent over opposite.
Adjacent over opposite, which would be 1 over 1 or 1.
Which, funnily enough, also the tangent.
Which is also the tangent, yep. And the cosecant of negative 5 pi over 4. So, 5 pi over 4, that would be pi 180 divided by 4, 45 times 5. Negative 225. Now be careful, that's a negative angle, which means we started in the same place, but we go the other direction. So that angle is going to be in quadrant 2. Negative 225. How big is this very important angle right here? 45. So a 1, a 1, and a root 2. Anything negative? I'm not in quadrant 1.
Bottom one.
The bottom one? The bottom one, literally. The one on the bottom. Cosecant. Reciprocal of sine. Hypotenuse over opposite. Hypotenuse over opposite would be root 2 over 1, or just root 2. All right. Now we've got secant is negative 13/5. What does that mean? What does this mean? It's in the third quadrant. This means it's an angle in the third quadrant. It says your angle is between 180 and 270. That puts it in the third quadrant. So this is another way of saying quadrant 3. All right, so I've got this angle in the third quadrant, and I know that its secant is negative 13/5, which would mean that its cosine is negative 5/13. Would you agree with that? Okay, so I'm going to label over here. This is going to be the 5 and this is going to be the 13. Which one is going to be the negative one? The 5. The 13 will never be negative. Right? That won't be negative. Ever. So then I'm going to do my Pythagorean theorem because I need to find the sine and the cosecant and the tangent and the cotangent. This is on the quiz tomorrow. It was on the practice quiz. Alright, so what's that third side going to be? Pythagorean theorem. Here we go.
Negative 12.
Negative 12. Very good. Negative because it's going down, and 12 because it's 169 minus 25, which is 144, the square root of which is 12. Alright, no radicals to worry about when you fill it in. What's the sign? Negative 12/13, which means the cosecant is negative 13/12. What's the tangent?
That'd be 12 over 5.
12/5. Negatives cancel, right? So it'd be 12/5. So your cotangent is 5/12. Easy, easy, easy. Number 6 is also on the quiz. We already practiced one of these. So what do we think of when we see this picture? We think of arc length equals radius times radians. Right? Okay, we got an issue. What's the issue? The angle is in degrees. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is on the quiz too, is change the angle into radians. And how do I do that? Pi is to 180 as something is to 40. So the something is 40 pi over 180, which is 4 pi over 18, or 2 pi over 9. Right? Now, don't get excited. That is not the answer to the question. All that is this angle now. So now we're ready to find arc length, right? S equals the radius, which is 8, times the radian, which is 2 pi over 9. So what's our answer? Multiply those two together and you get what? 16 pi over 9. And if I gave you a unit, I didn't. If this had been 8 inches, that would be 16 pi over 9 inches. Now the next one is exactly the same scenario, so we'll use exactly the same formula. Oh, and it's a little easier. This is exactly like the one on the practice quiz was. Arc length equals radius times radian. So what's the radian measure of the angle? 10/12 or 5/6. And finally, number 7, and then you'll have this sheet done. How fast in miles per hour is a car traveling if its tires have a radius of 1 foot and they are rolling at a rate of 72 revolutions per minute? Okay, so the radius is 1 foot. And I've got 72, I'll just start with that, 72 revolutions per minute. Now, think about this wheel rolling. It has a radius of 1 foot. This would be a revolution, right? One time around. How far does it, what's the distance of one revolution? How far does it travel in one revolution? Well, the angle it would roll through is 360, but what about the literal distance it would cover? Every time it goes around, how much distance does it cover? I'm hearing something. 2 pi r. Well, because that's a circumference, right? And every time it goes around, doesn't it travel a circumference? Yeah. Since the radius is 1 foot, the circumference is just 2 pi feet. So 2 pi feet is 1 revolution. So already, go ahead and do your canceling. Now we're down to what? We're down to feet per minute. And what do I need it? I don't need feet per minute. I need miles per hour. All right, so let's get miles. What do we know about feet and miles? We know there are 5,200, not equal. We know there are 5,280 feet in a mile. Okay, so I need to cancel out my feet. So I'm going to say 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Okay, so the feet are gone. Now what have I got? Unit-wise, what have I got? Miles per minute? Yes. I need miles per hour. So I know there are 60 minutes in an hour. So what am I going to put here? I need 60 minutes per hour. So I'll put 60 minutes, 1 hour. And now my minutes cancel. And what unit do I have left on the top? Miles. Miles. What unit do I have left on the bottom? Hours. And isn't that what I wanted? Miles per hour. So you're going to multiply 72, 2 pi, and 60. And divide that by 5,280, and that will be miles per hour. Okay, that is not on the quest tomorrow, but it will be on when we get to chapter 4, the whole thing, taking a big test over the whole thing. It will be there.